Sorry. Thank you. Yeah. Please God, it should be a good
success and tzlacha, whatever you guys.
Amen, amen.
Jake is excited. It's like,
I know we were texting on Friday. Yeah.
Relax.
Hey guys. I'm trying to say she'll be here. We have, hey guys, hey Steve, hey Adina Manta, how's it going? Okay, hold on, let me get my volume nice and loud, and then I'm gonna get some beverages. I feel like, let's get
Hi, good to see you.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Very good.
Good to
Hey.
see you.
That's my hands though.
Is anyone in person?
Well, we're in person.
No, I mean Charna or,
Well, Charna said she was gonna come, so we're still confident.
okay. And I don't know who there was a lady, I
Eve.
know, yeah.
Eve is usually here. We'll see if she makes it.
And was there a couple, a married couple? No?
Charna's online. Look at that. Okay.
Look at, hey, Charna.
All right.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, it's all right. Okay, we'll let Charna in. We'll be nice. I'm kidding.
Okay, let her in.
Hey, Charna.
Hi, Charna.
Hi, Charna.
Hold on one second.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going? Good to see you, Charna. Oh, she's not connected. Hey, welcome,
Yeah.
welcome.
Where are you? I'm downstairs.
Oh, we're up. Oh, perfect. We're upstairs in the library.
Because you said the belt line, entrance.
Oh, I may have sent out the wrong. I'm sorry. My apologies. My apologies for that. Yeah, we're upstairs. It's funny. I didn't want to make any conclusions, but the color of the wall behind you looked like Chabad. I'm telling you. I'm like,
Yes.
I don't know, like, what are the odds? But indeed you are. So while everybody, because I'm gonna go, Charna, we'll actually probably pass in the hallway because I am going to grab.
Well, I'm going to turn it off.
Maybe some wine. Quebec. So what I am going to I guess she'll join in a second. I want to officially get this started. Today is a very special day.
Why?
It's Pesach Sheni, second Passover. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on, but we'll have time to talk about that also. Today is Pesach Sheni, aka we eat matzah today. It's like a month after Pesach is when a month after Erev Pesach is the day that anyone who couldn't bring the Paschal lamb initially because of states of impurity, they were able to bring it on Pesach Sheni. So it's all about second chances and second opportunities. Hey, Charna, good to see you.
You have some matzah? You have some matzah there?
We have some matzah here. We actually have some matzah, which maybe I'll bring some matzah in if y'all want some matzah. We'll send some virtual matzah through the camera, through the computer. But regarding Pesach Sheni, second chances. And I feel like this book is all about giving people second chances, right? It's all about the idea of giving hope and how do we protect our family, our children. We'll go to whatever lengths we can to help protect those that we love, to give them a second chance at life. All right, with that little rabbinic intro, dvar, whatever you want to call it, let's pass the mic to Ariela, our fearless leader.
Before we go into like general appreciations, actually, I wanted to ask you a question. What's the source in Jewish actual sources about the existence of a golem?
Oh, perfect.
Is there anything beyond the mystical, almost like legend typey, or tell us what do you know about it?
All right, here's
In Prague?
well, I think that's the question.
Right.
So here's my not comprehensive knowledge of all things Golem.
Okay.
So it says that, of course, God created Adam and Eve, right, from the earth, and then breathed into Adam a breath of life. There's a mystical work, one of the earliest Kabbalistic works is called Sefer Yetzirah, which means which is translated as the book of formation. And Sefer Yetzirah is actually some attributed to Abraham, to Avram, some attributed to Adam, to Adam, i.e. the first human being. Basically, it sort of kind of tells you how to make a golem. So it's like how to,
The
I
ingredients.
haven't actually studied it
Right.
myself, but apparently it talks about making a golem and infusing things in light. So I think that's the handy dandy tool. It says the Maral used that
To create
to create the Golem of Prague. Exactly.
Okay.
And it would seem like that is probably the earliest source for creating a golem
Okay.
type thing.
Have been any other golems?
I think there were legends of other golems, I believe. Yeah, we would have to go like Wikipedia golem and see what comes up. But I will say that, you know,
Okay,
we
that's
do a
very
lot of
interesting.
Kabbalah here. And,
That's
you know,
not
like
good.
2.0, we'll see if we can get it in, is levitation, floating. 3.0,
We're gonna create a golem.
it's create your own golem. It could come in handy in case you know, you need some protectia, you need like a bodyguard, whatever. Okay, but without further
Awesome.
ado.
Thank you.
All right, jump in. I'm gonna grab some beverages, some
Sure,
matzah, some
thank you.
wine. All right.
Yeah, so I would love to hear people's just appreciation, like or didn't like the book, what you enjoy, what you didn't enjoy, characters, just let's get it started. Do you want to start, Charna?
No, because I finished it 2 weeks ago. and now
Okay,
it's
so you're
not
gonna
so
get into,
fresh.
okay, yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Steve, do you wanna go and give us some?
Okay.
Give me 1
I-
second, there's someone getting in. Okay. There we are. Hello,
Who is that?
Patty's here. Hi,
Hello.
how
Is
are
someone in
you?
the car or what? Who is
Yeah.
that? Who just joined us?
Patty?
Yes.
We
Yeah.
can't see you at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of reflection. I can see.
Sorry, I was
Yeah,
up
there, that's perfect.
Yeah, much better. Yeah.
Okay, so we just started with a general explanation of what the actual sources for a golem are. And now we're going, Steve was about to start with just general appreciations of the book. So,
Okay. Well, first, I thought it was wonderful book, just as good, maybe even to me a little bit better than the first book we read, Dove Keeper.
right.
I was apprehensive at first because I thought, oh, you know, reading another one of these silly golem stories, you know, sort of thinking of Frankenstein, you know, that kind of thing. It wasn't that at all. The golem, who was given the name of Ava, was almost a secondary. She was throughout the book, but it was really not a book about golems. And, you know, she was created by the mother, and the mother's name, I had to take notes because my memory isn't what it was. But Leah is the protagonist,
Mhm.
and I forget the mother's name.
Honey.
Honey. Yeah, Honey was the mother. Her husband was killed, and she wanted to make sure that her youngest daughter would live. This is, you know, Nazi Germany, the occupation, all that. So she decided to make a golem. But the rabbi that she went to wouldn't do it. But his daughter, I think her name was Eddie,
Mhm.
the daughter had, you know, listened in on the father and knew how to do it. So she created the golem that was to protect Leah, you know, the youngest daughter. And I thought throughout that part of the book, which was the first quarter or so of the book, I enjoyed it because I kept seeing Barbara Streisand in, was it Yentl? Was that the book where she tried, you know, wanted to go to Hader and couldn't?
Oh, right. That
Or
they wanted to
the
be
play? Yeah.
like,
So
like, yeah, have
Yeah,
the
so
men or boys, right.
I kept thinking Eddie, you know, is doing that function. So we go through the war, a love story between a young girl, of course, Eddie, and she meets two boys and is in love with one that's killed and winds up with the other. But just throughout, Ava is in the background doing little things to protect the little girl that she was created to protect. So I thought that was interesting. And then that's pretty much the summation, jumping right to the end, because I don't want to take too long. I think that was so good because through the last half or the last third, certainly, of the book, I was saying, what's going to happen to Ava, the golem? Because this golem is a person and a mensch. And I thought the daughter, she can't kill her protector. So it ended in a very natural way with the golem going back to the earth without the girl Leah having to kill her. So I like that. The ending was wrapped up very nicely. So all in all, I thought the book was excellent.
Awesome. That's okay, awesome. Let's continue. Ready, or we continue online, one-on-one, whatever you guys want.
Overall, I loved it.
Okay.
I felt, because I read Nightingale, this was
Interesting.
well, the Jewish side of what was going on. If you really want to deep dive to the people being carried over the mountains, then they go into a chapter or two in detail, getting over the mountains.
Right.
So that's what, 600 pages, but it felt like a companion book to Nightingale. I think my only, I loved the book. It was hard at first keeping up with the names, Honey, Ava, Etty. Yeah.
I think it was Esther, but Etty maybe,
Yeah. And then you'd follow a character and you'd be really into the character and their location, and then you're back on the farm with Marianne. Yeah.
Yeah, Marianne.
And then when you go back to other characters later on, you forget where they were. But no, I loved it. It had that, I guess, that supernatural feeling with the Golem.
Right.
And I think I was really shocked because early in the book it said when Ava, the girl, Leah saw what was
The paper.
in the locket, and that was early on, and so it was like, oh no, the whole time, the whole rest of the book.
Right.
Wondering.
But I loved it. I would read more of this writer.
She's
Yeah.
right.
Let me say that also.
Yeah.
Elise Hoffman. Medina Malka, do you want to give us your first?
I'm going to read a senior moment because I read it so long ago. I don't remember the specifics. I just know that I loved the book and I was intrigued with is Ava the Golem?
Yeah. Yes.
How she, how she had this relationship with a stork, dance with the stork. It was so, I don't know, mystical. And then how she was in touch with the devil. Is it Azriel?
Yeah.
And
Right.
he was lurking,
Angel.
how he was sort of,
She could see him.
yeah, like a crow waiting for the, yeah.
Awesome. Rabbi Solish, do you want to say something about the book? Then we're gonna
I
go back.
thought so. I didn't get through the whole thing,
All right.
but
Whatever you
I
like.
will say this: Alice Hoffman could write about anything.
She's talented.
She's unbelievable.
She's really
She's unbelievable.
talented.
It's riveting.
Yes, it was, yeah.
It's she's just a good writer.
Yeah.
So she can make something as supernatural as a golem, and this story of love and protection and different scenes in there. Yeah, it got a little bit complicated. She's pretty good. I enjoyed every page that I read.
The first 10 pages.
No, it was more than
Great production.
One image that really kind of followed me throughout the book was the stork, the bird, the bird.
Oh yeah. Not a stork.
um,
Is it a heron?
Heron.
I think it was a
Yeah. And I see them.
That
you
love
know,
affair between like
yeah, kayak,
Golem and love
And
affair.
then
and her.
her,
but
yeah.
with them dancing.
Yeah,
That was
Right.
kind of
You-
like fun and
it's kind of random also.
Super
random.
She
random.
throws in enough randoms. I feel like she throws in enough random stuff to make it interesting, and plausible somehow.
Right. Patty, what did you think about the book? Any appreciations or comments?
Well, this was my first Alice Hoffman book, and I definitely will be reading more of her stuff. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah, and while Holocaust stuff is not like, it's not ever fun to read.
No
like,
matter-
Right.
But this one was different, I guess, and like you still explored their lives. But I guess the Golem was the hope, so many parents had. I guess, I don't know, there was just a lot of things that made it easier to read in different ways.
Yeah, it gives some sort of security that this like non-natural piece of the novel that there is a golem with Leah thinking, okay, she will survive, she can make it. I really enjoyed the book. I really think I agree, Alice Hoffman. I think she's a very, very talented writer. What I also really like is that mix between a historical fiction or historical novel mixed with the magical realism. I don't know how many people are familiar, but I grew up reading in school the books of Garcia Marquez, who's considered kind of the quintessence of magical realism as a whole genre that some people say he even like made it into its own thing. So this mix between not purely magical, but like into some historical time that we are very familiar and we do know about it. It's very, I don't know, I really enjoyed it. And I think she does that in most of her books, or the ones I've read it. It's like she picks historical time and place, and she does her research. She knows about it, but brings all this different layer of fiction in a way that makes it so casual. And even like if you read in detail, her voice changed when she's being talking about like the way the golem talks to the birds. And then when there's something very human about the story, it's even the way she writes changes. So I really enjoy her. I think she's talented, and I enjoyed the book. So yes, I'm happy everybody enjoyed it.
Oh, is it historically true about the place where the Catholics were protecting the children and then all of them ended up dying anyhow?
So that's a good question. I am not sure how, like the dates are right. Like that last deportation train to Auschwitz at the end is true, but I'm not sure how much of the details are true. She does work with historians when she does these jobs. With the last book too, this book too, like she has an interview about it. So there is definitely some historical context, but I'm not familiar with the details. Like this,
Remember when they did the
people-
raid to go into the orphanage? or
right?
something?
Like there are a
Yeah.
few things. Like I don't know if that specific orphanage
I'm
even
sure it
existed,
happened.
but
I'm sure that it happened.
that right.
Yeah.
Well, I actually read that there were several, I guess you call them monasteries, where the nuns kept the children, and that is true.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a famous, I'll just jump in on that. I think the question was like, was there one in that
one specific,
location
I don't know.
where they came in and they hunted everybody and she survived because she was, whatever it was. But like, I think that, not I think, there's a wild story, not to go too off topic, but in a lot of these monasteries after the war, well, some of these monasteries, they didn't want to give back the Jewish kids.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that I,
Famous story with a rabbi, an American or Israeli rabbi, I forget who, but his name was. He flew over there with somebody else, went into the monastery,
Mhm.
and he said, give me the Jewish kids. And they said, who's to know who's Jewish? He said, all right, I got this. bedtime, he went there and he said Shema. He said Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. He said he's saying the Shema, and all the kids that started crying and they started saying Shema, he's like, okay, these are obviously the Jewish. These are obviously the Jewish kids. I'm taking these kids. An unbelievable story.
My.
That's a real story.
And it became a tactic. Apparently, like
To get the kids with the Shema. Yeah, that was a real. That's a real deal.
Recognize
Mhm.
some that they were Jewish,
Wow.
especially girls, because boys was
Easy,
like
right?
it's-
Yeah, yeah.
some biology
At
there,
least,
but
right, some signs.
especially girls. Yeah, so, but that was interesting to me. Kind of the first question or topic for discussion I have here is, I think that the book brings very different but deep and profound types of love. It starts with a revelation of the love from a mother to a daughter, daughter to a mother, even 3 generations. It start with the respect of the grandmother, the mother, and the daughter. It moves into a few relationships between siblings. We have the 2 girls and their love, the 2 brothers, Victor and Julian, and their love. And then it evolves into a relationship and the love between a man and a woman, in this case. A few, it's not only one, but like we saw a few of those relationships as well. Is there, and many times this love was the driving force behind what they were doing. Is there any of these relationships that was like shown more powerful to you through the book, or more influential to the characters' actions? Again, this is free for interpretation, so if anyone wants to
Well,
say something.
she loved the children so much that it gave her the strength and the drive to, you know, be a guide through the forest to the border.
Right, and multiple times I felt that was one love that kept them going. You know, like there was something there. Any that you remember that was special?
No, the book is rolling through my mind now as it's all going back.
Right. Right, anyone has any comments about this, or just in general?
Well, the girl, the Orthodox girl that made the Golem,
Etty.
Etty, yeah. She loved her sister so much and felt so responsible
Yeah.
for what happened that she gave her life. I
Right.
mean, it was pretty much 90% that she knew she wasn't.
Right.
It seemed like a high percentage she wasn't going to make it. But she wanted to do anything to avenge her sister's death. I guess because she gave her life, that it stands out to me.
Right.
More so.
Right. I going to that relationship, she was the only character in the second half of the book, or towards closer to the second half of the book, that didn't have that hope that I'm waiting for something, that there is someone there for me. And I think it's what you're saying. She basically decided to make a complete sacrifice, because for whatever was worth in reality, Leah was waiting for Julian. Like whether they had a relationship, it was like this dream of one relationship, but everybody else had someone they were hoping or working towards, but Etty had lost her only relationship, so her hope was to revenge. Yeah, absolutely.
And even with the story with the doctor and planning just so that if she had to go to bed with evil,
Right.
the Nazi character. I mean, that was a lot of planning, and
That was a lot of self-love.
Yeah.
and there must be some, I don't know, with the bees, is there some symbolism behind that? The bees. I was trying to think, maybe there is, maybe it's part of the whole mystical thing with Ava.
Or you
I
mean-
felt like the whole bee part of it, had to do with it. It was just symbolism, because bees are life. Without bees, we have no vegetation, we have no flowers, we have no plants. That's what bees are for. And of course, the honey they produce, making life sweeter. So I thought it was just making reference to that.
Well, they made reference to numerology. They said like the number 348.
Yes.
bees.
Right, and for different angels have different gematria, they bring it in between.
What was also, this is getting into
yeah,
something different, but with Julian and the math and escaping, being taken to Auschwitz when they rounded up everybody, and he used some kind of math from his father to find his way out of the village.
With the stars and right.
Yeah, that was a little, I guess, supernatural too, to me. I didn't look at it as a real math thing. I think it was
Yeah.
another supernatural angle for him, having faith to get out of his situation.
There was something of that. I felt like we early in the book we knew some people will survive and some people won't, and even without knowing, it was like it doesn't really matter what's going to happen here. He's going to survive or she's going to survive. So I had that kind of feeling through the book as well.
Well, he didn't get along very much with his father. And then he ended up using the skills that his father had taught him. And that was a way of redeeming his relationship with his dad.
Any other?
I think with that getting out of the forest, I saw it as again, a symbolism, of his father and how a man, thinking back on all the things your father taught you, it gets you through life. And this was just almost survivalist. And I was thinking in terms of if the sun is setting this way and the tree is, doing a shadow this way, I know I have to go, this way is north, and I know I have to go north. And I thought he was using that kind of maybe
like the
survivalist skills.
astrology, like the stars and all the
Yes, exactly.
constellation
Yeah.
that he had learned from his father.
Yeah.
Right. Any other kind of unique relationship that you appreciated different than the rest? Anyone, any takers?
I mean, I would just echo the sister relationship. It's like you kind of knew when her sister gets shot that that's going to drive the rest of her life. Like that's going to be it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not that she wasn't determined to lose all her family already.
Right.
This was a one unique kind of like the relationship that meant hope for her, that was keeping her going. Which is also a unique thing of the book. It's like it almost become like there's only one option for a relationship. But the mother, I don't know, talking about how she will live through the daughter and that kind of connection between different generations. I also thought it was very powerful. Like, and the evolution between, which I'm coming up, moving to the next topic, but we see that at the beginning, the relationship between Ava and Leah is, from Leah's perspective, and it's not that Ava can feel or anything, but from Leah's perspective is not even appreciation. It's almost hate, and it's resentment and very negative relationship from her part. Ava doesn't have any feelings, but through the story, we see the evolution of that relationship to the end in which they're hugging each other, and Leah is like rubbing her hair, and becomes almost like an intimate relationship. So what do you think were kind of like the breaking point, or what happened that made Leah change her perspective towards the golem as like, you're not human and I don't care about you, to I love you? All the way to the point to say at the end, the gift my mother gave me is a second mother. Like she felt that that was the main kind of gift that the mother gave her. So,
Did you repeat what you said about the gift? What was the gift?
so at the end of the book, Leah says that she learned at that moment that the gift her mother has gave her is to have a second mother.
Oh,
which
yeah.
was Ava. So how changed from hate and resentment to this, she's my second mother? Like what do you think were some critical either event or what happened that allowed that change to happen in your perspective?
I almost feel like I have to flip through the book to find the place. I remember. I know, I just remembered her first attitude was get lost.
I can't remember it as a seminal event, but
No.
I just felt like she was naturally maturing. And, kids go through that process, when they're 13 and 14, they maybe even know more than their parents, or you don't understand because they got all this knowledge at school. And they're talking with their other kids that are their age. And then as you get older, your love for your parents changes and becomes deeper. And I thought it was just a natural maturation. I don't remember any specific event.
Was it when she saw Ava dancing with the heron? Was that it?
So I think
when
some
the
humanity there, definitely. Like
Yeah.
some expression of maybe this is more than clay.
That
and
that
then-
when she also invited her to the school, like she finally had gotten rid of her, and then
Right.
it's like, oh, I really do need her kind of thing.
So it was dependency, which I think there was some of that as well, which I think is the difference between a rational knowledge, something you know, versus the action. So she knew the golem was there to save her or to give her life for her. But when it actually happens that the golem saves her, or it actually happens that quote unquote sacrifices for her, kind of bond her or create this relationship that otherwise may have been only intellect, but not in the realms of feelings and emotions.
did they bond over the bird being, sending messages back and forth? I can't remember.
Right, so that was an appreciation too, dependency, or like all the things she couldn't have done without Ava. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, but then Ava hid that one message.
Oh, yeah.
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 Right. So
And
that also
yeah.
brought some.
What was the message, Turner, that she hid? I can't remember.
Julian about where to meet, I think.
Yeah, she saw thread on the potential, kind of like she thought it was dangerous, and her goal was to keep her
Was
safe.
Mm-hmm.
it was jealousy, or was it keeping her out of danger?
I thought she wanted to stay with maybe I'm getting it mixed up, but I thought she wanted to stay with the heron longer or something. And not wanted to leave, or am I mixed up?
No. She wanted. What was the question? Adina
What
Malta?
was it out of safety or was it a personal agenda?
No, it was. I think it was out of safety, which was her personal agenda. I mean,
Not because she wanted to spend more time with the hair.
I mean, it wasn't jealousy. She kept the message to keep her safe. Is that what you're saying?
that's the moment she started developing her own feelings, which I guess is the next question is also through the evolution of their relationship is the evolution from her to become a human, which is the end of the story. Is like, I don't think she felt before that last minute though, in my interpretation at least was, it says that love is what changed her. So how was she able to live was through love, because nothing else would have explained that a golem becomes like a person or immortal. And all of a sudden she's not listening to the birds anymore. And she loses her quote unquote powers because of love. But it's not clear to me at one part of the story, she feels love for the first time because even at the end, she says things as like, she's walking behind Julianne and Leah, and she's interpreting their behavior as human behaviors. Like, and they're holding hands the way people that love each other do, as like if she's not capable of doing that. But she also, it's love what saves her or makes her human. So it's an interesting question to me, where when that love becomes a reality, rather than her just following instructions and having her own agenda. Which I don't know if anyone has any interpretation there. To me, felt more that like that conversion to human brought the love, but I don't know what everybody think about that. Again, so when at the end of the book, Leah refuses to kill her, even though Ava asks about it and kind of almost begs her to follow her mother's instruction. Did you feel she was disobeying her mother? Did you feel she was doing the right, like, how did you interpret that kind of behavior of Leah in from a kind of feeling standpoint? Like, what did it produce in you? Was it like, this is the right thing to do, or she's not following her mom that basically sacrifices her life for her? Like, what was it? What do you think was the most important part of it?
I think she did the right thing. She was, a young adult at that point, or a young adult, and she had her own mind, and her mother gave her these instructions, thinking the golem she was creating was this monster kind of thing, a lump of clay with no soul, no, and of course it didn't have a soul, but a heart. And this Ava had a heart, and she saw love and appreciated it, and Leah saw that, for all the years that Ava was taking care of her, including, most important, the last, let's say last year. So I think she did absolutely the right thing. It was the right conclusion to the book. If she had stood there and shot her well, she wouldn't have had a heart, but it wouldn't have been the same. The ending that Hoffman gave this book, to me, was absolutely the very best ending she could have done.
I, by the way, walked through the other end in my head. How would have looked the book if she would have killed her?
Yes.
And I agree. 100%.
It would have been a horror story.
Right, exactly. All of a sudden.
Yeah, no, it would have not worked at all.
No.
Right. Any other thoughts about that? And she says something about exactly along those lines. It's like, my mom didn't know who
Yes.
like, and this is a gift she gave me, and I learned things my mom didn't know. So I kind of agree that it wasn't meant as I'm not following my mother's kind of instructions or desires, more rather as like, this is the only way it can possibly be. You mentioned this, but what do you think about that time where she reads the letter or the note early on in the novel, that she knows that was meant to be, that she was supposed to kill the golem? Was it like a pivotal time, you think, in the story, or not really?
I wonder if that kept her from, caring for her, kind of keeping her arm's length, knowing she was gonna have to.
Right, almost like, yeah, exactly, that it could prevent her from connections, which it didn't, because they connected eventually anyways. Whether it was because of dependency or it's hard to know. I at some point I felt, just as a probably kid develops the relationship with their mother is out of need and out of satisfactions of needs, like this, she's keeping me alive, almost just like a mother or a newborn will potentially.
I just meant like maybe she couldn't afford to love her because she knew she was gonna have to kill her.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question, maybe I missed it, but why was she supposed to kill the
Yeah,
golem?
so
And I mean, I carried with me that after her job was done, that she would become a monster, and like
that's right.
Something out of control.
That
Yeah,
was
That's what I saw.
explained. That was
Yeah.
explained at the, like, it was 1 line or 2 lines, but that they will attack and they potentially attack their maker, which in this case she was dead,
Yeah,
or attack. It will become like, once they're done with their mission,
yeah.
they kind of lose purpose and then they become a monster. So she had a very clear mission, which was to save Leah. And the question was, what's happened after the mission is complete? And that's what the mother was trying to avoid, is like becoming this monster. And I think that the concept of the golem is also that they are created for a reason, for one specific kind of reason.
Yeah, the Maral of Prague, he famously retired the golem when the golem was, finished its job. He put it to rest. There's a crazy follow-up story, which maybe I'll tell a little bit later.
Oh,
From the moral.
Yeah, about the
Okay.
synagogue and the previous Rebbe.
Oh, really?
Anyway, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Remind me to tell you the story.
Okay,
Oh,
interesting.
sorry.
Interesting, but yeah, so that's it was, okay, she's saved now. And at some point, even the same Ava was telling her, now you need to kill me. Like, we both know that that's what your mother wants. But yeah, I definitely another character which I think she does a good job bringing in, and I don't know if it's one character specifically, which is Marianne, but is this idea of Gentiles sacrificing their lives to save and to just step up for humanity and the Jews in this case, but humanity as a whole.
Well, her father had been,
Right.
actually, before he was killed, he was kind of being watched, and so she,
Already.
yeah, and he was against the Germans.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
the power of education.
well, we all know in Israel here, the righteous Gentiles, there were many, 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 many Gentiles that went to concentration camps for hiding Jews, or, many righteous Gentiles.
Right. They risked their lives, their families' lives, just sometimes to hide one person. But I really liked Marianne. I think it was a beautiful representation of it in the way her story, just in general, I think it was just a nice, well, till the end when Victor dies, but it was a successful story, which some were successful. We usually hear the non-successful ones, but I almost like personify with her all these other sides of the Holocaust, which is people saving Jews or sacrificing their lives potentially for just that, the potential saving one life. And it goes back to education, and this is a little bit out of the book, but different countries have very, very different reactions. Poland was a very, very anti-Semitic country before, had many less righteous people than France that was a little bit less anti-Semitic, or other countries that were even less. So it really was, in her case, was her father passing to her that this is the right thing to do, and we hate Germans.
Yeah, Denmark protected a lot of its Jews.
So Denmark was more integrated before the war as well. It was a little bit less anti-Semitic country than what Poland had been before.
Yeah.
With Germany as well. But yeah, I thought she did a really good job with Marianne's story, and the fact that she worked in this house, came back to her father, and got into this mission of crossing children to the border. I enjoy that. Yeah.
Had historically, you had families and individuals that would harbor, Jews until things got hot. And when things got hot, it's like, even in the story,
Okay. You're right.
there were
right.
situations of harboring, and then it's like, we can't do that anymore because we just got word about something going on, and we've been outed or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And other ones, like they gave up their lives to do what's right. I mean, the question really is, what do you do when someone else is at risk, you're not at risk, right? Do you step up? The world is dealing with this right now, right?
Right.
With Ukraine and with the Uyghurs in China. It's like, what do we do when someone else who's not us is in danger? How far are we willing to put our necks out there?
Right.
It's an uncomfortable question.
Right. It's a very uncomfortable.
Very
question.
uncomfortable. It's
But we
a
do
real
have-
question. It's
right.
an uncomfortable question because we may not actually be doing what we would have thought we would do
Right.
theoretically.
Right. Especially when we think about the Holocaust or all our own history.
And our like our
Values, set of
outrage of like, how
values,
come no
right.
one did anything? And it's like, it's easy to say, not my issue, not my
Right,
war.
right.
It's gonna make things worse. What I like, there's the narratives always abound. It's a real question.
Yeah.
To me, that's a sobering question.
So, right. But she, in the book, we saw a lot of that type of sacrifice. I think even from the nouns, and it was like, it doesn't matter if you're Jewish or anything, I'll save you.
Well, Rabbi, Israel has always stepped up to the plate. They, air evacuated just thousands of Ethiopian Jews.
Yeah.
They airlifted maybe 120,000 Iraqi Jews. I mean, Israel has intervened and saved.
Yeah. It's important to use our history as a tool of tikkun, as a tool of correction, to see to it that this not happen. Yeah, 100%. Israel has set a really great example of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Leave no one behind.
Yeah.
Right. Very interesting. Any other topics or things that people either didn't like, or want to bring up for discussion now about the book? Well, closing comment. But yeah, no, I really think she does a good job, and the book, though it's about the Holocaust, and we hear a lot about the death of a lot of people, these people it was hard for me to see, because they're individuals but they have hopes, and that's what drives them, is either a relationship, or even if it's revenge in some cases, but they have this drive. And we always play this game as like, what would I do, or what would I ever, have that strength, or and it's interesting to see this girls in many cases, and some boys, but all ages 16 and younger, making these really, really hard just journeys in their lives. So a lot of nature involved in the book, either the farms or the different animals, and she's just very talented at mixing, and they become characters of her books in a very subtle way. So that also in Dove Keeper, she had the same, well, the doves, but different animals became characters, and she here did the same thing. Very in a, I think in a successful way. Yeah, so thank you everybody for
Awesome.
coming. I want to hear about the Golem though before. we
Yeah,
close
I'm gonna
it.
tell straight about the Golem. I feel like also I looked at Alice Hoffman's bio here, and it says that she has written more than 30 works of fiction.
Oh, wow.
How do you pump out 30 works of fiction
That's
and
insane.
researching? And she flew, according to her her
Oh,
endnotes,
wow.
she flew to Europe to check out the places.
Right,
And she's
I saw
the
that in
ground.
an interview.
Oh,
I think she went with two historians. She does a
Right.
really good job. She went, not walking, but she did the a crossing of French to Switzerland to see
unbelievable.
to get inspired. Like that's what it gives
Right.
her inspiration. And even she said that if certain scenes were in the winter, she wouldn't go in the winter. If it was in the summer, she wouldn't go. So
She does her research and she knocks out books. I'm just very impressed.
Right.
Both the Dove Keepers and The World That We Knew. Just she could write anything.
right.
She could write an
Okay.
intriguing film. I mean, she's amazing. That's my thought. Okay, so here's about the Golem. So this story was told by the previous Rebbe. As a young boy, he went with his father, who was the Rebbe Rashab, the fifth Rebbe. And they were traveling, they went to Prague. And they went to the Maharal, who was the rabbi who created the Golem, according to our legend. He went to his old synagogue.
Okay.
Now, the Maharal lived in, I think it was the 14, 15,
something,
yeah, 1500s,
Right.
maybe the 1500s. So it's like, it's going back a few hundred years,
Yeah.
but they still have the synagogue. And the previous Rebbe went to that synagogue. And at a certain point with his father, and at a certain point in the day, his father couldn't find him.
And he was a kid?
He was a
How
kid.
old- Okay,
I'm not sure how old he was.
but a kid.
He was a
okay.
kid, maybe 6, 7, 8, 9.
Right.
So, kids, you're in shul and the kids are whatever,
Don't wanna hear
they're,
it.
who knows, huh? Oh, you don't want to. Dads always know exactly where the kids are at all times. Anyway,
Yeah.
so especially in shul, we
Right.
never let them out of our sight. No way.
Never.
That's what we tell the moms. Now,
Right.
back to our story. So he, at some point, I remember Miriam was here. And she's like, where are the kids?
Where are the kids?
And Zan was like, they're somewhere. She's like,
Oh.
okay, so this is what happens on Shabbos. Okay, got it. Anyway, back to our story. So eventually he finds the child, or he surfaces and he says, where were you? And he said, I went up to the attic.
First.
Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you about the attic in a second. And the story goes that as the father told the son later on in his life, he said, I had to do a lot of stuff to protect you. Basically, according to the tradition, they buried the golem in the
that
attic of the synagogue with the shemus, with the books, with the papers that were like script
Burned.
stuff that was just.
Oh,
Now, they didn't bury the golem. They put, according to this tradition, they put him in the attic. And again, according to the story, it seems like the previous Rebbe
Had an encounter.
had some sort of encounter, at least with the space, if not necessarily golem face to face or whatever were the remains of the golem, but in that space. And his father had to intervene on high to protect his son. But essentially, what comes out of this is
Don't mess
a
up with
very
it.
well. No, it's not only that. Number one, but number two, the bigger question, which is, did it ever happen? Was there ever a golem? Did the Maharal ever create a golem, or is it just legend? Is it just anti-Semitism, pogroms, and now we have a hero story? It's like a Superman story a mythical story. According to this story, it seems like something was there that would have caused some potential spiritual damage or physical damage, and it was safe. And so it seems like there's something, there's some truth to it. So anyway, it's a fascinating thing. I know in Prague, because people have told me that have been there, they have a statue of the Maharal, the Rabbi Yehuda Loi, and they also have a statue of the Golem. However, it could be that it's the legend and they're playing to the Jewish quarter and the tourists. It's true, but it's a fascinating thing. As far as other golems in history, my recollection, I did not research it before tonight, recently, but my recollection is that there are a few other legends or traditions of golems, but the most famous one is the one of Prague. It was compiled in stories. There's lots of stories about Yassila, the golem, Yassila the golem, as he was known according to tradition. One famous story has it, where the rabbi, the Maral, told him, it was before Pesach. And so, the rabbi's wife, the Maral's wife, was getting the house ready, and she was washing the floors or whatever it was, and she was cooking. And so he says to the golem, because he wasn't protecting the Jews right at that moment. He said, "Go down and fetch water from the river or the lake, whatever it was, and bring it back to the house and fill up the bucket. Take a bucket and then fill up the bucket in the house." So he did that, but he's a golem, like a robot. So he kept on filling up the bucket until it overflowed, but he kept on going back for more and more and more and more and more until somebody was home and somebody saw what was going on. I was like, okay, you can stop. I believe the Maral said, according to the tradition, the Maral told the golem, you have to listen to me and my wife. I think that was the deal, which was good when he was doing like the household work. But
Rabbi, it's very interesting that Jewish men have created all the superheroes like Superman, Superwoman.
Right. Yeah. Oh, look at that. From the creators of the golem come Superman,
And
Spider-Man,
Superwoman, right?
the Hulk, whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah, and Kabbalah, right? So, look, the origin story of the Maral specifically in protecting the Jewish people is also worthy of retelling. Maybe we'll end with this. I mean, we'll end, but it would like kind of wrap with this. When the Maral was saved, when the Maral was born, he saved the Jewish community. Basically, he was born on the night of Passover. So picture the scene. The entire Jewish community in Prague, everyone's sitting at a Seder. And no one's in the street. Everyone's at home doing a Seder. Well, in the stealth darkness of night, there was a fellow, a non-Jewish fellow from the community who wished to cause a blood libel. And what the blood libel famously was when the Christians claimed that the Jews were slaughtering Christian, well, it changed over the years, but at some point it was Christian children in order to use the blood for baking the matzah. Now, I mean, we have matzah here. I'm just gonna say there's no blood in there. Whatever. Just gonna say that. I've been to a matzah bakery. I've made matzah. I've been in a real matzah bakery, a professional matzah bakery in Brooklyn. Trust me, it's flour and water. If you try to bring another thing into the matzah bakery, you will get absolutely bounced as fast as possible. And I'm not trying to defend it because the whole thing is ludicrous. Blood is not even kosher. The whole thing is ridiculous, but nonetheless. So here it's the night of Passover. First night of Passover, everyone's at a Seder, and there's this guy who is holding a big sack over his shoulder, a dead child. And this child died from whatever it was, an accident, but it was an opportunity to plant it in a rabbi's house or whatever it was, and then and then say the child's missing, accuse the Jews, they find it in the rabbi's house, boom, blood libel, kill the Jews, pogrom, etc. God forbid. What happens was, listen to this. First night of Passover, the Maral's mother, he wasn't born yet, right? This is his origin story. So his father was a rabbi of the town. So the wife, the Rebbitzin, she's 9 months pregnant, she goes into labor. And, back in the day, doctors made house calls. So immediately the father, the husband, right, says to one of the guests, go quickly run and fetch the doctor to bring him to deliver the baby. Baby's about to be born. So this guy, a guest, someone from the house, runs out into the street. Well, meanwhile, this guy is carrying the sack. Sees a Jewish guy running toward him. He starts running. He starts running away because he thinks that this guy is busting him with the body, right, with the kid. So again, picture the scene. You have this fellow who's trying to do a criminal act of deception and planting a dead body, etc., running with a sack, being chased by this Jewish guy who's actually not chasing him at all. He's running to the doctor. Meanwhile, there's a policeman. This is a legit story. There's a police officer who sees
The
Jewish man chasing non-Jewish fellow with a bag over his back. And what does he think? This guy just stole something
Right.
from the house. So now the policeman is running after this whole situation. This thing is growing, it's avalanching as it goes. Okay, so now the policeman is chasing the guy with the sack. Meanwhile, the Jewish man peels off into another alley to fetch the doctor.
Right,
He
right.
doesn't even know what's going on, right? If you're running and you see another guy running, you're like, all right, I guess he's jogging. I don't care. I got to get a doctor for the rabbi's wife because she's in labor. Anyway, the officer catches up with him. He arrests him. Well, he says, "Show me what's in the bag. It's a body. What are you doing?" And of course, he confessed that he was put up to it by the priest, by whoever it was. I don't know, whoever it was that put him up to this idea of planting the dead body. Blah 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 blah. So it turns out.
That's why he's being born. He said.
Oh, so the Maharal being born that night, and then he was born, right? The Maharal was born. That's the Maharal's birth, and this is what his parents told him. Your birth saved the Jewish community that night. So from that moment, he dedicated himself to saving the community, to protecting the community against pogroms and blood libels that were very prevalent at those times. Hence, again, his endeavors to create a golem later on in life that would protect the Jewish people against a very real threat. By the way, the rumors of blood libels and all that stuff, rumors, whatever, the false blood libel accusations still live on to this day. It's still put out there on occasion.
Yeah.
Anyway, in different
Yes,
forms.
the protocols of the elders.
Little do they know not to look to the matzah. There's some more obvious places. Oh, just joking. This is,
Oh, it's the,
Cabernet. I was joking, seriously.
it's
Come
the
on, you
protocols of the elders of Zion.
I
That's
know,
an
right?
example, right.
Halavai, we should be so powerful, just saying.
But that's where that story, the Bible is.
Exactly. Anyway, so that's a little bit about golems and
Yeah.
Maharal. Fascinating character. By the way, you should know Maharal was not just the creator of a golem. He was a bona fide mystic Kabbalist. He wrote commentary on the Talmud, on Torah, that is absolutely mind-blowing, just amazing. And we've done it, we've woven his ideas into many of our classes in the past. Amazing, just incredible scholar, a rav, a rabbi, a protector. Anyway, beautiful stuff.
So we gave him some kavod to him as well. So
Yeah,
awesome.
We have another book.
I
Good
read
story,
this,
so-
at least the first half. I read it on Passover.
Okay. Oh, nice.
So I feel
So,
like
right.
Golem, Pesach, it
Perfect.
kind of all came
Perfect.
together.
Do we have
So-
another book we're gonna be reading or?
You
Yes.
sent me.
Let me send you. I have like 3 options.
The other one was also Golem. So that's why I was
It's
wondering.
not though, but
Oh, it's not?
yes, it just with the name, I think it's.
Oh,
too
the
long.
Golem and the Genie?
Yeah, it's like it's pure fantasy, and I was rereading a little bit. I have it in my house, and I don't think I liked it that much. I went through my Jewish section, but I came up with 2 other options. Let me
Okay.
send it to you. Can we update you, everybody? Let's say by Wednesday night,
I
and
think-
we let everybody know.
To me, that's fine. I just want to
Okay,
pull
Let's
up,
come up with a date.
what was the date?
Yeah, the date's important, yeah.
The
Yeah,
dates,
I don't
yeah, the
think we
date is very
have it.
important.
Do
Give
we
me a
have-
second here. Let me quickly look at what we have in the old hopper. Let's check out, hold on. Okay, June 19th.
Works
Is that
for me.
good?
Yeah.
Okay,
Works
so
for me.
June,
Father's Day?
what is it? Oh, is it
12th,
Father's?
12th is Father's Day.
Oh,
Yeah.
It is Father's Day.
I just opened it and it says Father's Day in my
Yeah.
calendar.
Oh, 19th is Father's Day?
No, no,
Yes,
no.
No, 19th
Is
is
it?
Father's
Oh,
Day.
yeah, it is.
yes,
Sorry.
it is. Yes, it
Wait,
is.
is that good or not good?
Why is in my calendar?
It's not so good.
Not so
I
good?
don't-
yeah.
Okay, so then let's adjust it. Do we want to go earlier or later? Let's see. Oh, wow, it's thundering
So
here.
some storm.
The week earlier, the 12th is
13 of.
Ratner.
That would work.
Open
Yeah,
Sanctuary.
the 12th or
12th will work.
Looks like there might be a simcha here. Okay,
Okay.
you know what? Let me,
It's
okay,
a-
Sunday night.
it's a Sunday night. Yeah.
Elisa's birthday is you love. that
So
matter.
1 second, I'm gonna look because there might be something going on over
Okay.
here.
So either the
It looks like
12
there's
or
a-
the 26.
12 to 26. It looks like in the calendar, it says Ratner Sheva Brachot in the sanctuary, which is right here. But there might be a lot of people around in the building nearby. It
Okay.
might be a little bit inconvenient to do it just on the logistical level over here. But I'm not saying no, I'm saying I need to find out because I see it on my
Double-
Chabad calendar. I just need to
double
find
check.
out what's going on with that because it's just right now calendar entry on the 12th. making sure there's not a conflict. But let's just do a quick poll. Does the 12th work for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does the 26th work for everybody if the 12th doesn't? No, it doesn't.
Probably not, no, not for me.
Not. So then let's aim to do the 12th unless we can't.
Sounds good.
And okay, and then we'll send out the book because we will get on that.
Right.
We have
We
1,
still
2,
have,
3,
like, a
4.
month.
We'll have 4
Perfect.
weeks.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
And I'll make sure it's not a 600-page book, so.
All right. Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Great to see you guys. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Turner.
Bye, guys. Have a wonderful.
Bye.
See you soon.